Hey, 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 my friend. Happy winter solstice. Merry Christmas. In this video, we are going to dive into what is happening in our sky as we enter winter season and celebrate Christmas. We're also going to prepare. So we'll talk about our new moon in Sagittarius because that is kicking off next week. All right, my friend, if you did not know already, welcome to the YouTube channel. If you're listening to this on the podcast, be sure to come on over to the YouTube channel if you want to see all the charts and everything that we're talking about in this video. And if you just want to listen to this, if you just want me in your earbuds on your walk or on your drive or as you're doing things around the house, then feel free to listen over on the Cosmic Mystic podcast. You can find it on all of your favorite platforms as well as right here on YouTube. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and we're going to dive in. So, as always, we like to share the state of the planets, as I like to call them, because they are always in a different place every single week when we do this. And so, as a reminder, we are looking at Sidereal Astrology. So as you can see, our sun is right here in Sagittarius, right here at 8 degrees. So we've been in Sagittarius season for about a week now, and that is our fire energy. I actually just released a podcast episode all about Sagittarius energy and how to work with it this season. We also touch on winter solstice, so I'm going to highly recommend that you go check that out. I'll put that here in this video, but I'll also link it down below in the description box so you can go find it, and in the podcast episode show notes. All right, so we've got Mercury over here out of retrograde. We've been out of retrograde for a bit now in Scorpio, so it is making its way right back through Scorpio. And keep in mind, we are still in the shadow period. So there is things that can still come up as we move through that. Come down over here. Our moon is currently in Virgo. So we've got currently in Virgo. We'll talk about that. We've got Mars still in retrograde in Cancer, Jupiter in retrograde in Taurus, Uranus retrograde in Aries, Chiron retrograde in Pisces, and then we've got Neptune in Pisces and Saturn in Aquarius. Go a little bit further up here, we've got Venus in Capricorn and Pluto in Capricorn. All right, so let's talk about our sun because we don't really have much to talk about with our sun. The one thing I do want to comment here is we did just come off this weekend. We came off of winter. We had our winter solstice, right? Where we have our shortest day, longest night. And this is where we are calling back the light, the return of the sun. And so from here on out, and so it's really interesting if you look at the way that this kind of happens is the sun really sits, and it did this over the weekend, it really sits like in the same kind of place, and then it starts to bring in this really beautiful light, right? So every day from here to the next solstice, we will have more and more and more light. So our days will get longer, slowly, minute by minute. We're going to slowly get our days will come back as we enter spring and then summer. And so this part of the year right now, we have just hit kind of like the darkest moment or time. So this is really about preparing for the light to come back. And so this is a really beautiful time for reflection. So you can also check out episode 77 on the podcast, I think it's 77, where I talked about why this is not the time necessarily to set goals. This is the time to vision, to reflect. And so we're going to talk about right now the sun square nodes, because this Neptune, square to Neptune, is falling off today on the 23rd, and we'll just have this nodes square. And so this is why I say, this is another point in that episode that I did not share, but this is another reason why it's important to not set your goals right now, but to actually stop and reflect and vision. And so I did talk about that in the Sagittarius episode, as well as how important it is to reflect and allow for the vision to come through instead of really forcing the vision. And so these nodes, so I don't talk about the nodes very often. They aren't asteroids, they aren't planets. They are actually mathematical points in the sky in reference to the moon. And so the nodes really give us some direction and understanding of our purpose, of what we're here to do, and what strengths we come into, what our past life experiences have been. And so looking at it from this standpoint, we are looking at the collective nodes of where we've been and where we are headed. And so in this particular case, when there is a square to the nodes, it brings a little bit of tension here. There's like some confusion or not quite sure of the direction of which it is that you want to go. And so sometimes there can be some identity concerns or challenges. This could, we could have some karmic things coming up for us. It's just a little bit tense of an energy. And so I say this because with all of that coming up, can you see why maybe it's not the best time to set those goals, right? It's not necessarily the best time because we're in still this kind of confusion, kind of not quite sure, but it is a great time to reflect, right? It's a great time to do some inner work. It's a great time to vision and allow for things to come through. So I'm going to make the case again. If you haven't already heard me say this, I'll say this again. This is not the time to set goals. Set your goals as we move into Capricorn season, but use this season, this time right now, to reflect. And so if you're like, where do I go? Where do I begin? Because a deep reflection, I see a lot of people doing like this quick reflection. A deep reflection really gives you the insights that you're going to need as you set goals that are aligned, that are purpose driven, that are really going to help you create the life that you desire, create the business that you desire, create the career that you desire. All of that is important as we are going through this stage right now of getting ready to end a year and begin a year in whatever way that you want to frame that. So I do have my Reset retreat coming up in January 16th through the 18th. So I'll put a little plug here for you with that. That retreat is all about helping you reflect. We spend quite a long time on reflection. I have 2 pre-events to that retreat that are 100% focused on reflection. And then we spend part of day 1 in reflection. And then day 2, we are all about alignment. We'll get into alignment on day 1, but we'll fully get into alignment on day 2. And then day 3 is where we cast our vision and we actually create our vision boards for the year. So there's a really beautiful process that I go through every single year. I've been doing this retreat for probably, I don't know, about 6-7 years now. And it's one of my favorite processes to go through every single year, to take the time to do it. So if you're feeling like you don't want to rush through your goals, you don't just want to put something on paper, but you really want to take some time with it, then my friend, come join us in the Reset retreat. You can go to thepeaceteacher.com/reset and you will automatically be registered for the 2 pre-events and day 1 of the retreat. Now you can upgrade to the VIP, which is still a really great price. Let me just say, probably the last time I will offer it at this price, but it's the last price. This is the price for 2025. And then you'll get day 2, day 3, plus a bonus goal activation session with me, yours truly. So I'd love to have you inside Reset Retreat. So come join us, come get reset for the new year. All right, let's continue to dive in because we've got some more things I want to talk about. Let's move on to our moon, because as I mentioned, our moon, we will be moving into a new moon. So we are preparing. So remember, keep in mind, in the lunar cycle, we go from new moon to full moon and then full moon back to new moon. So from new moon to full moon, the energy is rising. We'll be at our highest energy point. And then from full moon to new moon, the energy begins to drop to the lowest energy point. So we're coming down here in this last week, which is often a great time to reflect as we prepare to get ready for new moon, which will be that lowest point, and then we'll start building that energy up again. So as we kick off this week, as I said, we are in Virgo. So Monday and Tuesday, until Tuesday morning, really, because we were in Virgo on Sunday. So Monday through early morning of Tuesday, we will be in Virgo energy. Virgo energy is a great time to get into work, to actually do the thing, whatever the thing is, whether that's writing the emails, creating, data into the workflows, or maybe you're, actually looking at the projects that you have and actually completing the tasks in that project, whatever that might be for you. Maybe you are off of work. Maybe you've taken the next couple of weeks off. Starting on Tuesday, I am off until the new year, and I'm excited for that. So there's a lot of things, right, that I am getting ready using this Virgo energy to get ready for. And then Tuesday afternoon through Thursday, so right through Christmas, which I really love, our moon will be moving through Libra. So let me show you that here. So Christmas Eve, we will be moving into Virgo half of that day. And then all of Christmas Day and in through the day after Christmas, our moon will be in Libra. Now, Libra is an air sign. It is much more of that harmony and flow and balance, just really wanting peace and ease and all of it. So I really feel like there's just really good energy for a nice, peaceful, loving, nurturing Christmas for you all. I hope that is the case, but the energy is really like kind of flowy, kind of go with the flow. Libra isn't, it's an air energy, and so it does have that energy of multitasking where it wants to jump from thing to thing. There's a lot of ideas, a lot of, keeping your mind full of ideas and researching. That's all really good energy for this time period when we're in Libra, as well as creating. Creation's also really good, and connecting with people. And then when we move into Friday and Saturday, it's going to turn just a little bit because our moon will be moving through Scorpio. Scorpio is the water sign. It's more of that deep transformational sign. And so we might be up in our feelings just a bit come Friday, Saturday. Scorpio does love to go deep into things. It doesn't like to stay on the surface. So you might find yourself wanting to dive into things, to get a little deeper into things. If things have come up over this week, this would be a good time for you to kind of dive into things. I would also say reflection would be really good during this time to begin that reflection process. Hopefully our guidebook will be out by then, and you can start in that workbook. You can start in that reflection workbook. That'd be a great time to do it. And then come Sunday, the moon is preparing for new moon, as you can see, and it will be in Sagittarius. Sagittarius is a fire sign, and so it is more of an active energy. It is all about that growth and expansion and freedom. So you might find yourself wanting to get out and do something. You might want to go on an adventure or explore something, or just really be kind of out in the world, right? The other thing I would say is expanding your knowledge. So you might want to, do something that's going to expand your knowledge in some way, shape, or form, whether that's reading a book, taking a class, going to a class, or maybe taking something off of your shelf that you might have put up there and have not finished yet, now would be a great time to do it as we prepare for new moon. Now, let me tell you just really quick as we prepare for that new moon energy coming on the 30th here. It's actually going to be exact in Sagittarius at 4:27 p.m. That's Central Time. And so this brings a really, really powerful energy of expansion, wisdom, and responsible growth. And so we've got the moon, and I can show you here, making a sextile. There we go, over to Saturn, which is really influencing this particular new moon, which is why that responsibility energy is coming through. So this is a blend of optimism and practicality, which I absolutely love as we are exploring the past year. So as I mentioned before, Sagittarius is such a great time to reflect, right? So we can use this new moon to really look at what was the energy of 2024, what really came through for us from a very optimistic but also practical, grounded energy. So we'll talk more about this next week, but your intentions can definitely be around what you want to be optimistic about, yet practical in this new year. And so whatever that is for you, my friend. All right, let's talk about Mercury and Mars and Venus. So let's come over here. Let's get back over here to our beginning of the week. We've got Mercury here. So we've got one aspect that I want to point out, because we've had these here, this opposition with Jupiter, which is not going to fall off till the beginning of the year next week. And then we also have this square over here to Saturn, which is going to fall off as well. So there is one coming in here on the 26th that I want to point out, and that is Chiron. So right here after Christmas, right, we've got our trine over here to Chiron. And so Chiron, as I've mentioned before, it is the wounds. It is the energy of our past wounds. And so there's a lot of healing energy coming through here, especially around the way that we are viewing, understanding, thinking through or processing a lot of some of the past wounds that we have had. There's this drive and motivation to really seek that growth and that understanding. There's also really good creative expression here, especially through channeling or in art is really good for that. And a really good opportunity to make a really good positive change in your relationships. This time tends to be a time when people are more willing to communicate openly when we have this connection here, okay? When we have this connection, not necessarily this time of year, but when we have this aspect right here. So I could see that we could have this really beautiful opportunity to heal some relationships that maybe, or resolve some conflicts maybe that have kind of been, off on doing their own thing, but causing chaos probably, right? Now let's go ahead and look at Mars and Venus. So let's come over here to Mars, because there is one aspect I want to talk about with Mars, and that is coming in towards the end of the week here. On the 28th, we've got this aspect over here to Neptune. So we've got this trine over here to Neptune. So we talked about the trine, right, with Mercury and Chiron, and now we've got this trine over here with Neptune. So anytime we're talking about a trine, that is very harmonious energy. It really blends the energy of the two planets really nicely. So this would be something that I would say you're more able to act on your intuition or the insights that you're receiving, the downloads that you're receiving. There is more of a flow to act on things during this time. I would say this is also a really great time to blend that energy and imagination. So the blending of energy coming from the place of like that desire, that motivation, and the imagination. So that can be twofold, right? We have that as a really beautiful creation energy to really bring in manifestation because we're visualizing, we're able to really bring those ideas into our mind. The opposite side of that is we could be making up some really beautiful ideas, or we could be really thinking and getting motivated and driven by something that is we don't quite see clearly because we might be making it up, we might be imagining it. You know how you've ever had a situation where I actually just watched one of the many, I know, Steve Jobs movies, and there was a part in that movie towards the end where, you know, he had based a lot of a decision on a particular idea that he had imagined had actually happened. And when his assistant brought it forward to him and was like, that's not what happened, and gave him the reality, he realized the mistake that he had made. And it's such a reminder of like how sometimes our mind, we can make up a story so beautifully. Our minds are so powerful in that way that we can make up this story of what we believe is truth when we look at the actual reality, and it's actually distorted, right? We're not actually looking at that reality. And so this would be something that I would be mindful of as you're moving through the end of this year. And this is all the way through the beginning of the new year. And so just make sure that you are allowing yourself to ground in on reality, on what is truth, and not the truth that you're making off of a story, okay? All right, next we have Venus. Let's talk about Venus because Venus is making a square to the beautiful planet of Uranus. So she's up here. She's also going to be moving into Aquarius, as you can see here at the end of the week. And so we'll talk a little bit about that. So let's talk about this square over here to Uranus that actually comes in at the beginning of the week. There we go. You'll see that Jupiter falls off in just a few days. But right here at the beginning of the week, we have this square with Uranus. So Venus being our planet of love, beauty, money, and Uranus being that planet that rules over technology, but also loves to rule over that energy of rebellion and doing things in your own unique way. So this is a test because when we have squares, there tends to be challenges here. It tends to really cause some interruption in things. So there's always some unexpected urges or unexpected events that tend to happen when we're talking about squares with Uranus. And in this case, it's going to be around relationships, especially around love relationships, more intimate relationships, and money. So you might have some sudden, unexpected things that happen in relationships during this time. Now, I also said earlier that this is also a really good time to heal. We take those two together, we can see there's potential for something to happen and potential for us to resolve it, for us to come to some type of peace with it. There could also be changes or wanting different excitement in your relationship. So if you feel like things have been kind of boring or stale, or it's like you feel a little bit confined, there could be some reactivity here where you're kind of reacting to things because it's just like, I just feel confined. I need to shake things up. So this we can also see in this one is wanting to release some pent up energy. So this is they kind of go hand in hand where there's a lot of this build up of energy and it just needs to get released in some way. Now, my idea for you is going to be do some somatic breath work. We have our Magic Monday every Monday. You can go listen to one of those. You can also check out the Breathe with Danny 22-day challenge. It's a private podcast. So you can, there's tons of breath works that you can do that are about 20 minutes long, or you can, do a longer session. I know there's some longer sessions on YouTube, or, schedule a session. I'd be happy to do a session with you, but there's like this built up energy. So go for a walk, go to the gym, play some sport that you might like, do some yoga, whatever it is, to kind of release that energy, because you might be feeling like there's just some stuff that I just need to kind of let go. And I want you to do it in the most healthy way and not go ballistic on somebody or get some road rage of some sort. We don't want any of that in our world, right? Let's get rid of that. Let's take care of ourselves. All right. The last thing that I will say about this one is you may find yourself drawn to exciting or eccentric, just things that are out of the norm for you. So maybe it's a different neighborhood, maybe it's a different food, maybe it's different people, but there's just this drawing to something that is outside of your norm, that is exciting to you. So my friend, enjoy this transit, learn something new, shake things up. We have a really nice, pretty easy week from the most part, as I can see from this particular forecast. Be sure, as I said, to subscribe to the channel. Actually, I haven't said that yet. Subscribe to the channel, subscribe to the podcast, so you know when a new episode goes live. We do have Magic Monday every single Monday, well, most of the time, where we do a somatic breath work and oracle card pull with the channeled message from the Akashic Records. So you can come and join us for that. That's held live on Mondays here on the channel. And then, come join us for the annual reset retreat, and get that reflection workbook and just get that space to reflect on 2024 and all that it brought forward for you. Because my friend, I can tell you right now, there are things you haven't even realized that happened for you this year. There's always the top things that are top of mind. And my goal is to help you get down into those deeper layers so that you can really see what 2024 was for you. So when you register for the retreat, which I haven't said yet, but the retreat is actually free. There is a VIP upgrade for day 2 and day 3, plus that bonus activation session. But when you register for the retreat at thepeaceteacher.com/reset, you get my annual reflection workbook to a deep dive into all of those lessons and accomplishments of 2024. You get 2 pre-event reflection workshops, because I know just as much as you that if I don't have a time and a place on my calendar to do the thing, it will not get done. And so I want to make sure that you get this reflection in and really deep dive into it. So we've got 2 pre-event reflection workshops, but that will be recorded and will be sent to you, that you'll have access to. And then day 1 of our retreat is where we begin to get into alignment for the new year, so that we can create goals from a very grounded, aligned place. And then on day 2 and 3, we're going to continue that alignment, dive deeper into that, and fully. So we look at our core values. And so we're going to make sure our core values are in alignment. So we're going to do a core values elicitation and alignment. And then we are going to create our vision for 2025 on day 3, and we're going to create our vision boards, and it's such a beautiful experience. I can't wait to go through this with you. Plus, you'll get our 2025 astrology forecast and goals workshop. My friend, we are setting you up for 2025, and we are going with the natural cycles so that you have this space to really set powerful aligned goals for the new year that you can actually achieve. Let's just be real with it. I am a very grounded and practical person. I love to vision, I love to think big, and I also love the practicality. And so that is what we are going to do in this workshop. Plus, when you upgrade to day 2 and 3, you get that VIP. We're going to dive even deeper, as I said, in day 2 and day 3. Plus, you get a goal activation session with me, my friend. It's absolutely amazing. It's a great workshop. People get their goals activated on their timeline. It's an absolutely beautiful experience. People feel motivated and ready to go after taking that session. All right, my friend, that is it for us. Be sure to go to thepeaceteacher.com/reset to register for the retreat. I can't wait to welcome you in and see you reflect over and align and vision for 2025. All right, my friend, have a great rest of your day. Until next time, keep shining your unique light.